reading an interesting article from the Dallas Morning News that kind of hit some points that I guess I'd never really thought about. Is the last time Tony Pollard was the dude at running back was 9 years ago when he was in high school.
Yeah, because he was kind of more of a,
backup,
wingback kind of receiver type at Memphis.
He was behind Darrell Henderson for 3 years, and he would get work in, provide an offensive spark, like you said, and it was also a kick returner. And then he got taken here in the 4th round. There were 10 running backs taken ahead of him, including Henderson, who went to the Rams. And he's been behind Zeke most of the time, or the whole time, with the closest thing is it felt even at points last season. But it's been a long time since Tony Pollard's been the dude. And we're going into the season with the Cowboys' hope is he's the guy. All the spotlight's going to be on him from a running back perspective. Do you believe that he can and will shine?
Where did all the people go who for the last 3 years said that he cannot do this?
You know what? I'm glad that you brought that up because
wouldn't they have the same? Why is that changed? Last year he didn't carry the ball 8 straight games to finish the year at 20 times a game. Like, where have they gone? Why are they not saying the same thing? I'm concerned and worried about him touching the ball 20 plus times a game.
Because I think they were being disingenuous to begin with. Because I always thought, and I'm not, and maybe you think Tony Pollard's going to excel, maybe you don't. But last year, like going back to the beginning of the year, I thought that was a better option than Zeke. But everyone, I think, not everyone, a lot of people said that because they believed in Zeke or they were protecting Zeke or whatever. And they were like, no, like, obviously it's better if they can work in tandem, blah, 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 blah. And
I agree with that line of thinking, working in tandem if Zeke was great still, but he wasn't.
And they still clearly don't really believe in working with tandem because who was going to be your backup running back? Who's going to be Malik Davis? Well, it ain't anymore. And then maybe you would bring in Ronald Jones. Well, that's not the case. It's going to be Rico Dowdle and now Deuce Vaughn. And so they're not viewing this as I'm not saying it couldn't turn into that. You could use Deuce Vaughn or Dowdle in certain situations, but they're clearly looking at Tony Pollard with the franchise tag as you're going to be the dude. Now, there's a couple of things. He's never averaged more than 12 rushing attempts per game in a season. Mm-hmm. Now, sometimes, clearly, I know he's had plenty of games with more than 12, but for the entire season. But on the flip side, 5.2 yards per carry last season. That was 3rd in the league for running backs with 100 carries or more. So, like, if you really carried the ball, he was 3rd in per carry average at 5.2. So, clearly, he had an elite season last year in terms of the opportunity, doing something with the opportunity he got.
Yeah, given his chances, he took full advantage of them, except for in the playoffs, whenever it was his turn to shine, and then he got hurt, and that happens. Players get hurt. That happens in all sports. The one thing, Kevin, I will say that, like, up until last year, we had never seen him be that. So it was I guess we're going on hope here. There was no concrete evidence. And sometimes you just got to hope that you see the talent in practice and you know how to use it. Like, that's more than anything. There's a lot of talent out there that people hold back for whatever reason. And they're like, well, we're going to try and do this because we have this that we like more. But then when you finally did get the opportunity to see it, you did see that the speed was there. The ability to break a game open with one run was there. And that's what Zeke had not had for a long time. That ability to break things open past 20 yards and be a scorer from anywhere on the field. But you also did see that, Kevin, there was the times when he came to the sideline, he was like, I'm tired.
Sure.
From that 70-yard run just now, I'm tired. And because he had not accomplished that before. Hopefully his body is more in shape for it. The running back position, to be an elite running back, you have to be a different person. Your body type and all that, you do have to be different. I love the threat of Tony Pollard, though. That's why he's, to me, the 3rd most important pass catcher, because all your offense can run.
Yeah.
And this dude can run fast. And if you get him in space in many different ways, man, you're gonna have a great tool, a great option.
So I want to throw one thing out there, and you guys might totally dump on this, and you'll think I'm stupid, but I'm gonna throw it out there anyway. From the 817, because I understand all the concerns about the workload, because like we just brought up, he's never had more than an average of 12 yards per game over an entire season. That is a valid thing that until you see it over not one game,
you
but
said 12 carries or
per game in an entire season.
Okay, for some reason I might have heard you wrong. I thought you said 12 yards, but
yes, hey, look, we can do that.
12 yards per carry?
Yeah, let's do that.
I'll take it.
12 carries per game.
Okay.
And it's not something that you're going to learn in the Giants game. Like, you're not going to know or even get a feeling for it until, the end of October? And you're like, well, at least I have a decent sample size. But for the 817, he still can't pass block. So there's two things about that. First of all, I think last year, Tony Pollard was better at pass blocking than the perception. And I think Zeke was better at pass blocking than his perception. That's not to say Pollard was better at pass blocking than Zeke. I'm not saying that at all. But I think people create.
You saying they were both better?
No. Pollard was better than people perceived, and Zeke was worse than people perceived, even if that was still better than Tony Pollard. The other thing is, I get tired of listening to people talk about pass block like that's a running back's primary job. It's a running back. Can they run the damn ball? Can they break a play? Can they give you explosive plays? And can they score touchdowns? All right? Pass blocking is important. But we also just kept a fullback on the team. So I agree that pass blocking is important, but sometimes it got described like that's the only job of the running back.
Yeah, and I mean, to add to that, Kevin, whenever you're running screen plays and whenever you're running flats and you're utilizing the running back in that way, that offsets that a lot of times. He essentially, the pass blocking running back is that emergency moment. I need to block everything. Let's pick up this late blitzer. Dak should be able to see those things and line that up. And he, hopefully he can make those blocks whenever it's necessary. But you have other things that you want him to do. And those things not offset it as much as counteract what they're trying to do defensively when they come at you. If your running back can run a draw play while they're being aggressive, now you just took advantage of them. They have to be on their heels. You don't have to worry about the pass blocking as much. There are going to be times where you're sitting back, and hopefully the Mike McCarthy offense with this West Coast offense allows the ball to get out of his hands a lot quicker, and for Dak Prescott to not have to think as much, just trust his routes and go through those progressions quicker and get the ball out so he doesn't have to stand back there and say, Tony, I need you to be my personal protector the entire game,
right,
like Zeke was. That's the hope that you're wanting there. But more than anything else, man, he found the end zone 12 times last year. 9 times, I do believe it was on the ground. 1 or 3. How many? Let's do math here, Kevin.
12 minus 9. Is that your math question?
3 times in the passing game. I need him to score, man. I need him to score, and I need him to be somebody that can pick up chunk plays, because when you pick up chunk plays, that makes it all the difference. So I'm not as concerned about his pass blocking, because I think that's a smaller percentage of what I'm asking him to do.
And that's why I'm really curious where people fall on this, because I do see a subsection that are like, I think Deuce is going to move into a role where he can help offset any carrying the load issues with Tony Pollard. I would love to see that as well. We talked about that, on Monday? The Cowboys want nothing more than to see Deuce Vaughn be the best running back that you have in that room, because they're like, hey, great, he's going to be here for 3 more years for no money.
It'll just be interesting if they really use him as a rookie. It just,
I
love what I saw in the practice games that they played in, but I just think to myself, I go back to Tony Pollard, who was a 4th round pick, and we thought a lot of things that he was going to do, and it just seemed to take a lot of time until they really put him out there and trusted him to do things.
Now, as you can probably guess, people are fairly divided from the 980. Ooh, I don't know where that is. I'm still here. Pollard won't hold up. From the 817, he's different, and he'll be the best running back in the league this year. Wow, that is obviously a wide discrepancy.
Most
right
of the people
there.
in the league consider him a top 10 guy right now, and I think that a lot of that has to do with the Cowboys, traditional history of their offensive line, which we'll see how that is. I mean, running behind Zach Martin's not a stupid idea. Hey, let's just run on that guy's butt. We'll be fine. And so I think a lot of that has to do with the way the Cowboys' offensive line has been built. But I mean, the dude showed last year his potential for game-breaking ability, and that can alter everything in a game plan. Whenever you're like, we got this guy. Oh crap, he just ran past us. So I understand a lot. And some people are saying Zeke was an excellent pass blocker. That is not necessarily true. There were a lot of times where Zeke, I was looking at him going, good God, what is happening here, dude?
How important is Pollard to Dak's interceptions?
I think very important. I mean, when we went through the receivers, I think I had him fourth, or the pass catchers.
Well, I will say
my opinion is on it, asking that question, Corey, is I think if the running game isn't working, Dak throws interceptions. The more you put on Dak's plate, the worse he gets.
So not dump down.
Yeah, so I'm just kind of looking at it going, this question of Tony Pollard, he needs to be good, because if you start asking Dak to carry an offense, he will start giving the defense more opportunities to win the game, and not our defense. You want to limit those.
Yeah, you want to limit those for sure.
So you say shine, no shine.
Dude, I've been watching this guy for too long to say that he can. They have lots of different offensive options. They have CeeDee Lamb. They added Brandon Cooks to this thing. I don't know if it's going to be a 50-50 balance, or if it's going to be a balance that is way out in front for the run game. I know Mike's saying, the more opportunities Dak has to throw to the other team, he will. But I think McCarthy wants to be an aggressive offense, and I think he wants to be going all the way downhill the entire time. Tony Pollard does that, man.
Yeah.
And I know I get too many times labeled as the homer, but I've been pulling for Tony Pollard to get more carries for a long time, because I thought he was the more explosive guy. If you're humming it along, dude, you just keep doing that. You just keep adding, keep giving him the football, keep giving him those opportunities. I think he's going to be able to take advantage of them. But I'm very excited about the possibilities of Deuce Vaughn. I think that there's some combination with the run game that you can just keep bringing speed at them that they got to catch up to. Man, I think that the run game can be a very exciting thing to watch this year.
Sure.
I say shine, but it's a tough decision. Coming back from the injury concerns me. Not averaging more than 12 carries per game for an entire season. That makes me a little nervous, but I'm gonna lean towards shine.
I like this from the 817. Nobody remembers Marshall Faulk for his pass blocking.
Yeah, and then somebody said everyone brings up that Zeke is a great pass blocker because that's what they had to say all the years when he was terrible otherwise.
Dude, listen, man.
That is hard.
Don't try and talk bad about Zeke because that last play of his career ended up being a bad pass block. That was unfair of them to put him out there and have that happen to him.
I mean, look, let's say he doesn't get run over. That play's still not going to work, right?
Dude, I don't want to.
You don't want to think about that play anymore? I get it.
There's part of me that sees.
I think it would have worked. Everything was working that day. We scored 12.
There was part of me that sees Pollard in the light of LaDainian Tomlinson, in the ability to catch and run and do all these different things. LT was just a different cat, and it's hard to be like, he's going to be that dude. But that's the way I'd use him. I would think that Brian Schottenheimer knows how to use an LaDainian Tomlinson type guy, considering his dad had him, and they used him all the time. That's the way I'd use Tony Pollard.
Shotty!
Yeah, young Shotty knows.